Hello there, dear viewers and readers. I'm author Samuel J. White, though it says Sam J. White on Facebook. I've been away for a while, or haven't been able to get stuff done. I've had a few personal problems. I've still got some remaining segments of Rachel Starkey's interview to post, and some more from Haney Hayes. Those authors will get their chance, and I'm really sorry that they've had to be put back for various reasons which I can't talk about. However, I've pushed this one forward because Jason Blayne has his release party for Escaping RiverCreep on the 27th of January this year, 2021. This video is not fully edited, there are some major pieces cut out of it, but I plan to re-release it at some point with some shorter segments and some pictures and music and stuff like that, up to the standard of some of the others, or even a better standard, hopefully. And I will take it away. Anyways, we better get on without some actual questions. Okay, can you hear me?
I've got one here for you. So
Okay.
We all know that you like to interview. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
So we all know you like to interview authors and you like to be the one asking the questions. For once, I'm going to be the one in charge for the first question.
Okay.
So, and this also comes from Lisa, so it's very like two people asking the question. What made you decide to become an independent author?
Now that was basically I decided to write the story regardless of what I was going to do with it. I was just it needed telling, and when I'd finished it, I looked at different options and found that being an independent author was easier than going through publishers.
That's true. I mean, you do have more freedom.
Yeah. I thought it was easier just to press publish on Amazon, and then I realized I needed to get an editor after I pressed publish.
Yeah, my first book was a nightmare.
Yeah. So then this person wanted to do a review swap with me, and she looked at it and said, you've got errors in it, do you want me to go over and correct them? So she helped me out, and then after that she wasn't an editor, but then she helped me out, and then I got a proper editor afterwards.
Now see, I had something similar to that. Someone wanted to do a review on my very first book. And of course, I'm still developing, still very green. I had just been taken under NJ Salupo's wing. He wanted to show me a few things and kind of guide me and teach me. And I mean, this lady tore me apart on Amazon. And I still leave that review up there and everything, so I can go back and read, like, man, this is where I started and this is where I'm at now. Like the growth that I've seen. I'm like, okay, like I'm going to take this, I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to make the next one better.
Yeah, it's the best attitude to have. I mean, this woman, she went over it. She didn't review it. She refused to review it, and she says that she's like, I don't want to review it because my review won't be very good. So then I read through her remarks on it, and I said to her, if I change these things, will you read it again and review it again? And she was very good. She let me change it, and then she read it again and gave me a 4-star review.
Hey, well, for me, the lady that reviewed mine put on the review, I will never read another Jason Blayne novel again. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna become so good that you're gonna want to read it again.
Yeah, that's the right attitude to have. But I look back and laugh now because she got to the end, and near the end, the last sort of chapter, and because the story changes so much, she actually put some comment there. She said, she goes, right, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. She goes, what the fuck have you just done with this book?
Now, I've had people be like that with me, and they're like, what did you, like, why? Like, I was literally in the middle of work one night, and one of my readers at the time, she and I worked together, but they put her in a different department for a little while. She called into the room where I'm working, while I'm working on a machine, and goes, how could you end your book that way? I'm like, what? I'm like, we're at work. She's like, oh, I just finished reading because I had some downtime, and how could you do that to your characters? I'm like, I'm sorry. I mean, that just blew my night wide open. I mean, I was on cloud 9 that night because I'm like, yes, I finally got to somebody.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. I mean, she said she's basically wrote on it. She goes, right, I've stormed out of the room. I've come back, and I've had to think about it. And maybe you should do this, that, and the other. And then she reads about 2 more pages and realizes I did do those things.
Bonus question off of mine. Then I'll let you ask one. Are you responsible for any broken Kindles or any broken devices?
Yes. Right. I've got a Kindle. I've got a Kindle out there which is smashed up.
Oh, I'm responsible for probably at least a dozen and a half broken Kindles in the last year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite a few.
I'm like, that's a sign of a good book.
Yeah. Another thing that I've discovered is that great about the Kindle is that you can put it on text to speak. So I'll say I've read someone's book. A lot of the time I'm just doing something else and have it reading it out itself out loud. Or Audible.
I remember that in
like
your 45 days review. You put it on text to speech while you're using the gym.
I did. Yeah, because I was on the multi-gym a lot of the time when I was doing that. Yeah. Got some Bluetooth headphones now, so I can listen to it on the rowing machine. But at the moment, I've been listening to Audible, so I haven't been listening to any indie author books because it's while I'm rowing, it's hard to sort of pick up on the text to speak.
Yeah,
because it's all drones.
Cherry Skies is available for Audible.
Sorry, what's that?
Cherry Skies is on Audible.
Yep, that'll be my next book then. Yeah,
all right.
So I've at the moment I've got one credit left on Audible.
Hey.
I'm at the moment I'm listening to Stephen King's It.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
Excellent choice.
Films. I've got both the films on the original and the 2 new ones on Blu-ray, and I think the book's better than both of them.
You got to give it to the king of horror, man. You got to give it to him. I mean, Stephen King is just the man when it comes to horror movies and horror books. I mean, just.
Yeah, right. I know he's sort of a lot of the authors who I spoke to love him, and one or two can't stand him.
Oh,
it's either love or hate.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, even if you don't like him, you got to respect the fact of how he can get under your skin, draw you into that darkness.
Yeah, and I found there's so much more to the book, so many more things that are going on than in the films. It came to the kids as so many different characters other than the clown as well. Everyone just remembers the films for the clown. But yeah, but so much more going on. But I guess they couldn't put all of those things in there because of budget.
Oh man, I mean, it's amazing what gets left out in the movie adaptations.
Yeah, Harry Potter as well. I read all of those books, and there's so much of it left out in the films.
I'm glad you brought that up because my wife has a question for you.
Okay.
My wife would like to know your favorite Harry Potter character and why, and which is your favorite Harry Potter novel?
Okay. I would say the 4th one was my favorite because that's where everything changed. It was the middle one, so that's where everything changed from it was kind of a kid's book before that, and then it became, during the course of the 4th one, that was where people started getting killed and stuff like that, and it really turned dark.
See, that's a good one. I like Prisoner of Azkaban for the same reason. Things started to change. They're no longer kids, but they're not adults yet. To me, that one feels the most grounded and the most real in the sense of how the characters react and their feelings and being confused and lost, angry, anxious, all the things that teenagers go through.
Yeah.
So I think she did a really a terrific job on Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah.
So that's
now
you know,
my favorite character.
Yeah.
That would be a hard one because there's so many good characters in it.
Yes.
But I think that Malfoy is actually a good character because he's sort of being forced to be on the dark side, whereas he doesn't really want to be.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the way I see that.
I can see that.
Yeah, and again, he sort of becomes good in the end, even though he was being forced to be bad.
Yep. I'm a Dobby fan. I mean, you know, Dobby's always behind the scenes causing mischief.
Oh yeah, Dobby. Yeah, we love Dobby.
And I mean, you know, he has good intentions, but he causes a lot of trouble at the same time. You gotta respect.
Yeah.
you gotta look mischievous. You're like, Dobby, you know better, but it's Dobby. How could you be mad at Dobby?
Yeah, exactly.
See?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Your turn for the question.
Sorry, I can't. You're cracking off a bit.
Yeah.
My turn to do a question. Okay, so I've got the questions written down somewhere. So we went through some of these before. So yeah, the age and weight thing that was just a bit of a joke. That's my first question.
I kind of figured, but I figured I'd poke the bear and just, you know,
yeah,
try to get people to laugh.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we're meant to do. You know, even though we're amateur, I call us amateur entertainers because, you know, we're not being paid the big bucks to do it. But at the end of the day, as long as you make someone feel something, laugh, smile,
yeah,
even if you
exactly.
make them angry, you're gating a response.
Yeah, I mean, we're not. I actually, the first person I sent these questions to just immediately blocked me on Facebook.
Oh my lord!
like,
I mean, like I said, I could see the comedy in it. I tried to be funny with it.
Yeah. So I remember I was just telling Rachel about this and saying I wasn't going to ask her these questions. She just goes, "I was big as a house." Yeah.
She had some great videos. She did. She was very entertaining. I was laughing a good bit.
Hang on, the dog's barking.
You're good.
Hang on. I think she wants to come and say hello.
Well, come on, say hello, puppers.
Yeah, here we go. She's here.
Hi, puppy.
Puppy, you can say hello.
Hi, puppy.
She does this all the time. She just sat on me during the whole of the other interview.
Yeah, I've seen most of the videos. You know, I try to keep up with it.
Yeah, I've still got one last part to edit. I think maybe two. It depends because I'll put her over there. Okay. Yeah, because after the questions, we just went on talking for about an hour afterwards. And some of the stuff, I don't think Rachel would want me putting that out live. Some of her opinions. Yeah, that was quite funny. She was talking about her opinions on God and stuff like that.
Well, actually, I mean, I could feed that right into another question. How do you feel when authors use religion and politics in their work and demonize others by those means? So, like, say someone is, like, say, like American politics, you have Democrats and Republicans. Let's say they're a Republican trashing a Democrat, or a Democrat trashing a Republican and independents, or someone who uses organized religion to try to bend it to their own will and way.
Now that I would say that's down to the beliefs of the author. I wouldn't take it or to that, either that or down to the beliefs of the character. I wouldn't sort of judge them on that because everyone's welcome to their opinions. Although I have made jokes about politics and stuff like that in my book. Well, it's not called After the Derailment anymore. It's called Derailed and Dispersed now. And there's this woman who is a witch, and all the witches are bad, but she's the only one of the few who decides that she doesn't want to be bad, and she's trying to explain to the reader, and she says that these evil witches who want to wipe humanity off the face of the earth, and she has most of them are in the Conservative Party, as in the UK Conservative Party, not some, I don't know whether it means the same thing in America, but the Conservatives are like the people who are running the country at the moment, like Boris Johnson, stuff like that, and they were taking benefits away from disabled people, and there was people with disabilities going hungry and stuff like that, and she was saying it was all part of their plan.
Yeah, most people would demonize the Republicans, the conservative Republican base, for that over in this country. Me, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Most politicians are corrupt. They're bought.
Yeah.
I don't care. I
really
don't care what
I feel.
You're not showing your true colors. You're only showing what you want to show to keep yourself in power.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're just a crook.
Yeah.
That's exactly. That's like I've got my books here in paperback with me. Like this one right here. Twisted Saga Aftermath. Yeah, I have politics in there, but I never once say Democrat. I never once say Republican. I say senators. I say heads of departments. I say the president. I never once, or will, if I can avoid it, use party lines, because I don't believe in party lines. I believe in what's doing right by the people and the country and what's good for the better of humanity.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that.
That's like my religion. I'm non-denominational. I'm not Baptist. I was raised Pentecostal, but to me, organizing means you put limits to yourself. When you put a limit to yourself, then there's a line that you have to follow. I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just although I was christened when I was a baby, I don't go to church or anything like that. But I'm like open to anything, that I'm open to listening to anyone's beliefs.
I mean, there's right and wrongs and everything, but I mean, like I said, when you go down a specific line, then you toe that line, and you could be towing into something that you may not know is wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're doing it in the name of something, and to me, that's wrong.
Yeah, it's sort of explained. I read the Narnia books a few years ago, and they sort of explain it as it's a lot more religious than you'd think. Hang on, something's going off there. But it basically says if you're doing the right thing, then you're doing the right thing in the name of all religions. And if you're doing the wrong thing, then you're doing the wrong thing in the name of all religions.
I mean, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, your turn for question.
Okay, my turn for question, and it's just disappeared. So I'll go find it again. Okay, my turn for question. So you've got some more interesting questions than I've got, because mine are just like stuff like, how long have you been writing?
I mean, to go back all the way when I very first started, we're going all the way back to the late 1990s.
Yeah.
We're going back to 1998. As I've answered in other interviews and stuff that's been put in blogs and such, I started short story writing in 1998. We read The Giver that year. And our assignment was to, Lois Lowry left the very first book, The Giver, wide open ending. So we were to create our own ending for it. Well, I did, and a friend of mine did. And actually, ours were written so well, they were submitted to one of the magazines that went around to all the schools in the United States at that time. I don't remember which one it was. I mean, it was 22 years ago. So me and him actually both had our stories printed, and then after that, I kind of got bored with just short story writing, so I went into music. And with music,
Yeah.
I went so far as I was offered a music writing contract in 01, right before 9/11, and
Yeah.
they didn't want to. This company, I won't say who, because
Yeah.
they're still mad at me, which is why I have a
Okay.
pseudonym for writing. And they didn't want to pay me royalties. They just wanted the buyout rate. Well, to live in New York
Yeah.
City and have the buyout rate plus be a 1099 contract and to pay taxes on top of that, you know, I mean, to live just comfortably in New York, I have to write 100
Yeah.
songs a year. Writing one song is tough enough. Could you imagine having to write 100
Yeah.
per year? So
Yeah. I
walked
had
away
a
from
go
it.
at songwriting, but I was really bad. So
And then I took a couple of years hiatus after that. My wife and I got back together. I went to college, and my English 101 professor had us write a short story for our final. And that's when I came up with the characters that I came up with that was in my first novel, which was just, like I said, it was atrocious. And she just told me, you know, keep it going. And she introduced all of us to the world of independent publishing. And I'm the only one who actually went and published anything. And from there, the story just starts
that's
writing
cool.
itself as I've learned and, you know, gained more fans, more readers, and more followers from there.
Yeah, that's bit different to how I started. With me, I'd sort of been interested in it, but had sort of stories going on in my mind. But I was more into doing sports and stuff like that. And then the hernia happened, like literally a week after I won my first rowing race, and I couldn't do anything for like a year. So I just one night I just sat down at the computer and thought I've got to do something. So I just started with "It was a dark and stormy night," and then and then sort of envisioned like I was walking up the road by my house, and then imagined this other house that was there, but no one could see it, and who was in it, and everything like that. And I'd written nearly a whole novel for that. It's back in the days when we had floppy disks,
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah, that's going
I
back.
put the floppy disk in one day, and there was nothing on it. So
Oh,
yeah,
curse of the flops.
yep. So
Maybe that's why they
it's
named
a
it
good
floppy
job
disk, because they
because
knew it
it just
flopped out
disappeared.
on
It's
That's
a good job.
that's
Sorry.
like me, you know. My best friends and I mean, we just did so much, got in so much trouble, created all this chaos, and just so much stuff that's spread through almost everything that I've written through. Right? I mean, you have to
Yeah,
dig deep to find out what's fiction and what's really not, and what was intertwined with things that we've actually done.
yeah, yeah. And
And that's
there
what
are
makes it fun, because you can take these events and just put your own little twist and spin on them and just create something entirely new, entirely different. Like, I didn't think about that when I was young. Boy, I'm an idiot.
yeah. So like in my first book, there are people based on real people, like the boss. She was Rob, who's the main character, his boss. She's based on a real person, and originally I thought, that she used to be my boss, and I thought, it started off with who would I want to spend the night in a haystack with, or who wouldn't I want to spend the night in the haystack with? And originally it was going to be her, but then I remembered this other woman who I met working somewhere else, and I thought, but basically the boss character in that story is based on her, a woman called Kelly. But I changed her name to Catherine, and in that version of the story, he stands up to her, but I just in the end had enough of her and walked out of the job. But yeah, she was going to fire me anyway. But
I mean,
yeah,
bitter to the punch.
yeah.
So
But
then, with that, how do you create your stories and your characters? Like, I know you just said some of them are based on real life, but when it comes to pure fiction, how do you come up with your stories and those characters?
Pure fiction. Now I just think of lots of different things, because there's in Derail and Disperse, the one I'm working on at the moment. There's 3 parts of it out at the moment. I just sort of base them on people who I've met at some point, but they're not all the same as the person that I've met. but I was go through in my head how they would have reacted to something, their personal habits and stuff like that, what's made them how they are, really, because there's so many different characters in that particular book.
Guilty. Saying I'm guilty. You take traits of people you know, or people you've interacted with, or your friends knew, that you got traits from how their personality is. Just make it your own.
Yeah. And there's quite a few people in that story, so I mean, it's also not just people you know, but people you wish you knew.
Right.
So yeah.
Sometimes that's, let's say you're presented with two different options, and that you can remember back when you was in your younger days.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got option A, option B. Okay, well, you took option B, but what would have happened if you could have taken option A? What are all the rabbit holes you could have fallen down if you'd have taken that option? That's another thing I put in my process.
Yeah, and that's something else I'm working on in another book, which is coming up maybe next year. About a 40-year-old who goes back in time and gets to live his teenage years again, and like what choice would he have made? But it's sort of like that, but you don't never know whether he's really living them again or whether he's in a coma and dreaming about living them again.
See,
sort of.
I've got a time travel coming up too, but it's going to be a while. I've already got the title. I've already got the JVLU. I've got everything through stage 3 already planned, plotted, and sitting right here.
Yeah.
Or some of it's sitting on my phone, but I mean, I've got all the plot, the characters, the storylines, everything for the next 23 books sitting right here already.
Yeah, pretty much how I am. Yeah, this one sort of don't know if you have a TV series called Life on Mars. I don't know if they. I think they might have done an American version of it. It was about a police officer who was in a coma, and I've been rewatching that again recently. It was a British version of it, but I think they remade it for America. I don't know because I haven't seen that, but he's in a coma and he went back 30 years.
Oh wow.
And so he's trying to solve crimes in the world that existed 30 years before, when the police are a whole lot different. There was a lot more brutality going on and stuff like that. And then they bumped into his own mother 30 years earlier. Stuff like that. So I sort of based it on the guy going back to college and reliving his life, and trying to save this girl who he knows died in the future. That she committed suicide, and he's trying to make her life better so that she doesn't commit suicide.
Now that sounds pretty interesting. Yeah. So what do you do to get yourself in that zone, that writing zone? What's your process to get yourself there?
For me, it has to be the right time of day. You have to be relaxed. I can't sit and write if I haven't done exercise already that day, because if I haven't exercised, then I can't sit down and concentrate.
For me, I mean, I gotta have my headphones in, gotta have my music, or some kind of background noise, Hulu, Netflix, something like that. And as I said when I did my other interview video, I gotta have my code red. That's my focus juice. That's my purpose.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll drink coffee or something like that. Other times,
stimulation.
It's unprofessional, but drink beer other times.
Hey, have one for me, brother, because I don't drink anymore.
Yeah. Tell us about your current work in progress.
So actually, I'm working on 2 at once. So I'm working on the next installment of the JVOU, which they do follow back to back. Modern Day Outlaws, which is, to put it in a nutshell, it is a modern day Bonnie and Clyde meets Robin Hood. Cool. The world economy tanks. So, there's another huge depression. These 2 former federal agents take it upon themselves to start taking back from the uber rich who just keep robbing and taking from those who are hurting and give back. And they end up getting caught. And I'm not going to say how the ending goes because then no one will want to read it.
You don't want,
And then the other is the sequel to the book that was just picked up by Archway Publishing. So Escaping RiverCreep has the sequel, Forever RiverCreep, that I'm working on at the same time, which is a continuation of Corey and Tara's story. So, and it's going to be touched upon a lot of things that a lot of authors haven't touched on is post-war PTSD. The struggles, the hardships, how difficult it can be for some of the men and women coming home, and just some things you can leave behind and some things you can't. So and it's it's going to go back to that lovey-dovey kind of romance that RiverCreep is, and that has that magic, but it's going to be hard to top Escaping RiverCreep, because I'm telling you, everybody at Archway Publishing who has had their hands on this book absolutely loves it. So that means Forever RiverCreep, bars here, bar's going to go way up here out of the spectrum. I mean, I've got to knock it out of the court.
Yeah, PTSD is that's a difficult subject to deal with, because a lot of people associate it with like wars and stuff like that, people coming home from wars, whereas a lot of people don't know you can get PTSD without ever having been to a war zone.
Actually, my mother suffered from it with all the years from abuse she had from my dad, because they were in a very toxic and abusive relationship to each other for a long time. I mean, I know it's kind of putting some personal out there, but I mean, I've got my own scars from, when they were going at it and stuff. I mean, my parents never beat me, but the crossfire,
Yeah, I totally get that. This is partly what my wife suffers with. Her dad was very abusive, and he used to threaten her mom with a gun and stuff like that. So people don't always understand that. They say to her, "How can you have PTSD? You haven't been to a war." So,
it comes in many, many forms, my friend. It comes in so many forms.
Yeah.
So
so it had been a Robin Hood story as well. Robin Hood was Nottingham. That's only about 200 miles from where I am, or not quite 200.
Cool.
It's an interesting story, because you imagine Nottingham being like it is in all the movies and stuff like that, with all trees around it and stuff like that. It's not like that at all. But that's how it would have been back in the day. But some of the history, I was always interested in the history of Robin Hood when I was a kid, because we studied him at school, and but they don't, we'll never know really whether he existed or not. But a lot of what we know now of Robin Hood was actually made up in Victorian times, and it was actually made up several hundred years after he existed. So
go figure.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a timeless character, though, and I mean that is an admirable goal for any writers, to create a character that just transcends time.
Yeah.
If not just Robin Hood, but you think of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Think of Hamlet. Just think of, like Blackbeard the pirate. I mean, I know there was a Blackbeard and stuff, but I mean, think of all these characters. Peter Pan, that's transcended time. Captain Hook. I mean, who in the world wouldn't recognize those names?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, is to make a character like that.
That's the goal of every writer, to create that one character that transcends time.
Yeah, I don't think any of mine are going to do that currently, but yeah.
It's tough. It's so tough.
I think a lot of my characters are unique, but I don't know if I would get enough readers for them to like pick them up and go, oh, that character continues on throughout time. I don't know, but that's another thing with character creation. Do they sometimes talk to you in your head?
Right.
Do the characters talk? Do they talk to you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they have to. I mean, you're telling their story. You're just the vessel to put, as they say, pen to paper or keys to whatever document you're using, whether it's Apple or Windows platform. But I mean, you are the vessel that brings these characters to life. So yes, if your character's not talking to you, then to me there's something wrong. I mean, it may not be the process for everybody else, but you have to be an extension of that character. You have to be in the moment. You have to be feeling what they're feeling, thinking what they're thinking, and going along with what they're doing.
Yeah, I have sometimes some of the characters from my books talk to me in my head, and they have opinions on things. And it's like, I can't remember, something happened, and I could hear the character of Katzina in my head. She's the foreign lady from Midwinter Night's Dream, and she was talking in my head. And she's going, that is not fair. You tell that person, shut up.
That's like Allie. I mean, you've seen how many bad decisions she made and just kept making them and making them. And I knew people like that. Like everybody's, 45 days to some readers was so real they refused to do a review on it.
Yeah, it is. She definitely came across as being real to me.
And just, Aiden, I know someone who had lost actually he lost everybody in his family, and he was the sole survivor. So I mean, I kind of changed that a little bit, and I mean, he was left a good inheritance. He did have a really good job, and just he was just a really nice guy. And I'm like, well, it's like he didn't play, the real life inspiration for him didn't play out the way that did in that book. But it's again one of those rabbit hole things of what can I do to these characters to really pull out the drama? How can I make this romance not everyday lovey-dovey? How can I make this feel real and just slap reality in the face while still being fictional?
Yeah,
that book.
It's good getting it out of the everyday thing. This is again what I tried to do with the Midwinter Night's Dream, because that they do have these completely lovey-dovey bits, but then you go back to the fact that they don't even know each other.
Yeah. That's like, that one review you mentioned in the video, how the lady didn't understand where the 45 days comes from. Well, I mean, you get built up to the beginning of the 45 days. Because if you look at January 1st to Valentine's Day, it's exactly 45 days. And that's exactly where the title came from. You have 45 days where everything is running smooth. Everything is running perfect. And then you get that first little bump in the road of, oh, there's this temptation from my past. What do I do?
Yeah.
Do I follow my want, or do I follow the dream guy that I'm with, that I have spent so much time, investing and getting to know and bonding and talking to and seeing how sweet and intimate that he is, without just going, hey, let's jump right into bed.
Yeah, and then she goes and makes the wrong decision when, well, for people who haven't read it, then just forget what I said. But
Well, there's several wrong decisions that could have been made. So that's building of anticipation.
I had a review from someone who gave Midwinter Night's Dream. They're the one person who gave it a 1-star review, and she said I actually spoke to her. I actually broke the rule and sent her a message, and said to her, "What do you why did you give it a 1-star review?" And she's like, "Well, the character's doing all these really stupid things." And I said to her, "Do you realise that you're meant to pick up on the fact that they're doing stupid things, because no one in reality would do those things?" And she says, "But the female character is like a Stepford wife. She's like too perfect." And I was like, "That's exactly what she's meant to be."
And playing off this, actually, you inspired me to create the sequel to 45 Days. You're finally going to get those answers with Dakota and Heather.
Oh, cool.
So, watching that video, I'm like, and to be honest, that side story, just came out of nowhere, because honestly, I needed material. Yeah. And it wrote itself. It's just one of those times where you just let, you think of the character, you think of that situation, and you just let it write itself. And to me, it came out beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah, I did really find that side story interesting. And yeah.
And actually, I did a live right before the pandemic, right as the pandemic was really picking up steam. I did a live right with those characters, and the material that was in that live right is actually going to go into that novel, which starts at the beginning of stage 2 of the Jason Blayne literary universe, the JBLU.
Yeah.
So
cool.
it's not far away.
So it's like a universe in the same way that Marvel has a universe and Harry Potter has a universe.
Yes, everything is going to be everything is interconnected. Actually, with let me grab it real quick. This one right here, Twisted Saga Origins.
Yeah.
45 Days is prequeled in this book. Allie and Aiden are right there, literally almost back to back to each other, but they don't meet. Not yet.
That's pretty awesome. As I've done a similar thing, like I've only a few books out at the moment, but the characters from A Midwinter Night's Dream, some of them cross over with the other books. I mean, the side characters cross over. There's his girlfriend's sister's partner. She is in the latest Derailed and Dispersed book, and she just because they took. Sorry.
That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it so rewarding, is the fact that, hey, to you, these may be one-off characters, but to me, I can create an entire universe just off an idea.
Yeah. So this is sort of happened before that book. So this is set 20 years ago, and but because it's in first person, she's joking with the reader, and she's going, she goes, now, where have you heard of me before? She goes, well, if you've read A Midwinter Night's Dream, I was in that book. Yeah, so the characters do break the fourth wall.
I love it when writers can break the fourth wall, have some fun, and just get a reaction.
Yeah, that they all break the fourth wall in that book because they say they're writing it in 2020, but they're talking about what happened in 1999. So that like the most recent one I'm writing, she's telling the reader about where she's sitting while she's writing it and stuff like that. And she's like, I've sat down in the office, I've locked the door so my husband can't get in and stuff like that. And but this one, Katie, she jokes with the audience and she goes, well, I know there's a lot of gay people in this book. And she goes, I would change my sexuality, but I was gay in the other book, so I can't really change.
I mean, we're having the fun and having the openness to doing what we do.
Yeah.
So here's another question for you.
Okay.
Let's say, could you see your books being made into motion pictures? If so, who would you cast for your roles? For which, we'll just do one for the moment. Pick a book.
Okay.
And who would you cast?
I've answered this one when other people have asked this on like Facebook and stuff like that. So I need to go with the same answer, and my answer would be I would cast someone who's totally unknown, because I think I wouldn't want the characters to be sort of stereotyped by the actor, and I think they're both very young as well, so it should be someone who is the right age to play the character, and they're most likely going to be unknown.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've got to think long and hard about this, because, I mean, for me, it is almost a reality for me with Archway Publishing. They're already talking about movie rights for Escaping RiverCreep. So, for me, if I could afford him, I'd take Tom Holland for Corey, because he's got that slender athletic build that I'm looking for. He's close to the right age, and if not, they can present him at that age. And then I can't remember her last name, but it was the girl that played the leading role in The Fifth Wave, Chloe somebody. I can't. God, Lord, I wish somebody.
Is it Chloe Grace Moretz?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think she would be perfect in that. For one of those
she's
roles.
a good actress.
She is. I think, The Fifth Wave was a great movie. It just was very.
I've not seen that one.
But, you gotta watch it. It's good. It is good.
Yeah, need to put it up on the big screen up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good one. So carrying on with that, where would you like to see your writing career go? Would you like to stay full independent? Would you like to be picked up by a publishing house or a traditional publisher?
I think depends if any publishing houses were interested in it, and I don't know whether they would be. I've not even tried. So